Greetings, Hunter, and this is Yumo from Yumo Gaming, and welcome back to another video. And this video is a long time coming, hasn't it? I would like to get this video started with an apology as for why I haven't uploaded in a while. Now, I made a post on my YouTube channel discussing this, but for those who haven't had a chance to read it, the TLDR is that some things cropped up in my real life. Some of those things are personal, and I hope you guys can respect that. I don't want to disclose that, but other things is just stuff that sapped away some of my time. A couple examples of that is that, like, just literally Wednesday, my job just finished up inventory and we were prepping for it. Before that, I work in retail. And then I also became a fairly high-ranking officer in a Division 2 clan, and so there's some duties there. So yeah, those kind of things just kind of ate up some of my time, and for that I apologize. But now that my inventory is over, and the fact that I got 2 more days as of recording this off, and then I only work 4 days next week, and then I have an 8-day vacation, I have plenty of time to put out more videos for you all. So, to get some other things out of the way, I want to say thank you for 25 subscribers last I checked. Before I left, I was at 11, so I more than doubled. In the grand scheme of things, that's not a big jump. But for a channel such as mine, like I said, I nearly doubled my more than doubled my subscriber count. So that's a pretty big deal. But the even bigger deal is that on my top 5 most logical monsters coming in Iceborne video, I managed to get 3.3k views, which is insane for a channel of my size. So I really have to thank you all for watching that video. And this brings me up to a couple of things about that video that I want to clarify. I made a couple mistakes regarding Brachydios. I always knew that when I didn't include Brachydios in the top 5, that was going to get a lot of backlash. He's a very big fan favorite monster, and a lot of people want to see him come back. But there were a couple mistakes I made in my argument, and I gotta clarify them. The first is just a mistake that I made due to my inexperience with the series, which is something that I never hid. Here's a clip from my Where is the Iceborne Island video, which is the very first Monster Hunter video I made, and I brought up that very same fact that I am fairly new to the series. Here's the clip. Monster Hunter World was not my first Monster Hunter experience, but it was the one that made me fall in love with the series. My first experience was Monster Hunter Generations over on the 3DS, and yeah, the 3DS's control scheme does not work with my big hands. Anyway, as you can see, I've never hid the fact that I was fairly new to the series, but I did go out and say that I am very passionate about it. I fell in love with the series, and Monster Hunter World is easily my favorite game of all time. And I am loving Generations when I get a chance to play it, but like with all the other games I'm also playing, I haven't got a chance to play it as much as I wanted. Anyway, the first mistake regarding Brachydios that was born from this inexperience is the fact that in earlier games, Brachydios could be fought in colder areas. Now, some people brought up that there's a subspecies deviant of Brachydios. Not exactly sure which one it is, because there are differences. I believe it's a subspecies that is an ice form of Brachydios. I didn't count that, because if that's the case, I could have brought up Jade Baroth in that video. I could have brought up Ice Agnactor. So yeah, I didn't feel like Glacial Agnactor, I mean, but I didn't feel like the ice version of Brachydios, I forget its name off the top of my head. Like I said, I am fairly new to the series, and yeah, I didn't feel like that was worth bringing up. However, the regular Brachydios has been known to be found in cold environments, so that's a mistake on my part, born from inexperience with the series. For those of you in the comment section who corrected me on that, I have to thank you. Learning new things is important. I tried to do research on it, but forums and wikis aren't always the most accurate, and they tend to be a little bit biased. And the wiki I looked on, they put the livable environments and monsters on the side where they would normally keep like characteristics of the monster's appearance, so I just kind of glazed over it, and that's my bad. As for the other mistake, now this one is where the last one was born simply from inexperience. This one was just my own ignorance, really. And that's that Brachydios actually does share a skeleton with Barroth and many of the other brute wyverns. What threw me off about this was the fact that Brachydios has a slightly different posture a lot of the time. And this is due to the fact that majority of Brachydios' attacks are punches to make it so that he can use his explosive goop. This means that Brachydios has to be standing upright more often, and that his arms also have a higher shoulder connection to give it so he has more leverage when he's punching. And so the combination of these two factors made it so that his default posture looked slightly different from that of other brute wyverns like Barroth and Banborough. But the point is that the skeleton is in the game, so they could throw it in there. Those two things, the fact that the skeleton is in the game and that he has lived in golden environments before, does make him a lot more likely to show up in Iceborne. Now the thing is though, is that all the people that argued against my reasonings, with good reason because I was wrong in those two statements, couldn't argue against my biggest reason for why Brachydios wouldn't be returning, which was due to the fact that he is a blast monster, and that thematically speaking, fire and blast monsters are pretty much the same, the only difference being how the damage is done. One's over time, one's an explosion. And so the fact that we have too many of these type of monsters, thematically speaking, and we need to focus more on thunder, ice, water monsters, of which we have very little. Not to mention stuff like paralysis monsters or poison monsters as well, and heck, sleep monsters. So we need to focus on these types of monsters more to make it so that we have more variety of monsters. And so that was my biggest reason for not making Brachydios on the list. So even with this new information, knowing what I know now, I still wouldn't have put Brachydios in the top 5. He might have made top 10, but he would not make top 5 in the list. Now, those facts, like again, I'd like to thank you, all those who pointed this out. It was very educational, and I'd like to point out in regards to the skeleton, that while researching it to verify what people were saying, no matter where I looked on forums or like Reddit threads whenever the topic's brought up, there's always one or two people who always mistake the fact that Brachydios actually shares Barroth's skeleton. So it's actually a common mistake. So now then, let's get into the other half of the video about what I want to discuss, and that's to do with the Iceborne trailer that was released during the live stream, as well as the new information we got. Now, I plan to make a series of videos in the future discussing each individual topic. The rest of this video is more or less just going to give you some opinions on some of the things that were there just shortly, and like I said, I'll go into more detail at a later date in separate videos. But here are some of my opinions regarding some of the monsters that we introduced. To start off with, oh my god, I love Banborough. Not just his headaches, mind you, but both the mechanics of his fights, i.e. the way he picks up things with his antlers. Did I mention he has moose antlers? That's awesome. That is a cool mechanic. But there's also the fact that he's most likely the monsters whose parts make the awesome Viking-themed armor. So, yeah, gimme that, please. Gimme. Banborough, he's like skyrocketed to one of my favorite monsters just cuz. Of course, we'll have to see how the fight plays out and what the armor actually gives you for gear. But he's like put himself up there for one of my favorite monsters so far, what I've seen. On the opposite end of the spectrum, though, we have Beatotus. And I think I speak for the majority of the Monster Hunter fandom when I say, F you, Beatotus. Nobody asked for another Piscine Wyvern of the Geototus skeleton. Like, Levisioth was the least hunted monster in the first year for a reason. But what makes Beatotus infinitely worse, however, is that his whole ice shark theme he has going on pretty much kills Zamtrios' chance in getting into the world. Like, what would be the point of having two ice sharks? There's none. There's just a big overlap. And so Beatotus pretty much kills any chance we have of Zamtrios. one of my favorite monsters, and a lot of other people's favorite monsters, because he's both badass and hilarious at the same time, from getting into Iceborne, which would have been the perfect time to introduce him. So yeah, Beatotus, I hate you with a passion. I'll probably hunt you for one time I have to when we start Iceborne. And if your armor isn't good, I'll probably not hunt you until I want to research certain parts, or like research certain stuff for the monster field guide, or farm certain parts. Sorry, I combined them. Idiot me. Been a while. Now, I don't have much to say about Nargacuga because he's a returning monster, other than the fact that he's looking sexy. Like, that detail on him is, that's nice. As someone who's fought him in Generations Ultimate, that is a nice touch. I cannot wait. Now, the thing is that the later games after Nargacuga was the flagship, he was kind of lowered in difficulty a bit because of reasons. I don't know why, because one game he was a flagship, and so the game kind of revolved around him in a certain way. And in the others, they kind of weakened him to make it so that he would fit into environments and ecosystems a little bit more. So I hope the world makes him a little bit more difficult and at least has him on an Apex class, which seems like the case because they highlighted a turf war with Rathalos. And honestly, I hope he beats Rathalos because I would love it if Nargacuga becomes the new Apex of the Ancient Forest, because let's face it, Rathalos, he can be found in a lot of different environments in the new world. And not just like regular Rathalos, but Azure Rathalos. So having something that's more only would be found in the Ancient Forest be the Apex just fits a lot nicer, I think. So if Nargacuga could displace Rathalos as the Apex Predator, I would love that. Now, to bring up some other things about the video, is specifically the last detail I want to bring up in this video, is the fact that we are only getting one new zone. I previously made a video about what kind of new areas we could explore, and I speculated that we would get 3 new zones. 2 of them had to do with the island. I said one was kind of a coastal, like, Canada idea, where it's like you got the coast of the island, and then it slowly gets more and more, it kind of gets like a small tundra plain. And then the other one, it was like we got a full-blown ice mountain. But what they kind of did is they combined those 2 ideas into one zone, by the looks of it. Because I'm probably explore the coast in some way, because it's an island, right? And so I'm thinking that we're gonna get those 2 ideas kind of combined into one. And then the third zone that I had, which was the northern ancient forest, I think that is going to not show up, unfortunately. So I was wrong about this, but I'm okay with it. Now, I'm not 100% sure because I haven't had the time to go back and watch that video, but I believe I said in that video, and if I didn't, this was my belief, and that was that if the new zone, or we got like enough landmass in zones wise and all that, to be at least twice the amount of new areas as the ancient forest, that we would get plenty of new content to explore, because they're also adding old monsters to, they're adding new monsters to older zones in the game. So Ancient Forest, Wildspire Waste, Rotten Vale, we're going back to those areas. They're adding older monsters, or newer monsters, and some older returning ones. I don't know why I keep on saying older monsters, but they're adding monsters to those zones. Now, I have a theory that I want to talk about in a future video, as when I bring up the new Hoarfrost Reach, which is the new zone. But that's gonna be one of the future videos I want to talk about. So that theory can wait until then. And yeah, so you look forward to that. One last thing before I end the video, though. I recently got an idea, like about 2-3 days ago, on making a series that highlights the various environments, such as like a video that goes into detail of like what the like structure of the ancient forest is, like the structure of the Wildspire Waste, and kind of their ecosystems, as well as the way another series kind of branched off of that, that talks about each individual large monster in those series. Now, I know I wouldn't be the first to do this, but this kind of stuff in the Monster Hunter series is one of the reasons why I love the series so much. And one of the reasons why I love what we've seen of Banbaro, because they've showed us what his bits and pieces of what he does during To Live. Like the fact that he sunbathes and that he drinks water from hot springs. Like, that's awesome. And so, partially because I realized when I watched the trailer that I love Banbaro, I got into my idea to do that kind of thing. And so if you guys want to see that kind of content, to kind of last and make more, or give me a reason to make some videos that are kind of newer, not just repeating old news and speculations, then leave a like on this video and comment down below to let me know whether or not you want to see that kind of stuff. I did say on my, going back to my Where is the Iceborne Island video when I started making Monster Hunter videos, that I kind of wanted to maybe branch out into lore videos, and this is lore in a way, because it's talking about the various environments and the monsters that live there, so this is canon knowledge of the series. So if you guys want to hear about that kind of stuff, just let me know. And I'm really liking the idea, and that would give me some awesome stuff to do. And yeah, to round out the video, thank you all for watching, and let the Sapphire Star guide your way. Later, hunters.